In this video, let's talk about how to get started with your short stories typography workbook. Now, the goal of this is to practice using the character panel and paragraph panel and adjusting and editing text. This workbook is going to be different than the other in that it's not a step by step and has no what it should look like at the end. I'm letting you make some of the decisions when it comes to working with type. Design is subjective, so you have to start making decisions about what you believe works visually and aesthetically. On the front cover, I just want you to adjust the tracking of the term typography workbook. And just to kind of give you a little bit of hint, what you can do is go up to view. If you don't already have it, go to your screen mode and change to normal so you can see the guides. And then you can always click and pull out an additional guide by clicking on the rule over here and then dragging it to your text. You're pulling out that guide and just drop it where you want it to be. You'll notice I now have a new guide or line that goes right there. So draw your guide at the edge of that S, and then click and select and draw you another guide to the edge of that one. And what you want to do is you want to adjust the tracking of typography workbook so that the T touches that guide and the K touches this guide. I'm not going to tell you the number that you need to do. I'm just giving you something to shoot for. Now, for all the other pages, I've given you a variety of short stories. You're going to come through and adjust the headline, the author, and the paragraph text for. You've got 5 different pages to work with of text. When it comes to working with the headlines, I want you to find an Adobe font to clothe these words in. Try to match it to the personality of the overall short story. You can then adjust the size of the headline to what you feel is appropriate. Some headlines will have more text than others, so you need to keep that in mind. And as you are playing around with the size of your text, keep in mind that sometimes you're going to have to come in and adjust the kerning of certain letters or certain words. I think for the most part, everything should be okay, but the ones I'd probably look at is the kerning for certain words on the swan as metaphor for love. And I would suggest that you probably adjust the kerning between the S and the W, and quite possibly the M and the E. And one last thing when working on your headlines is I'll also let you decide the alignment. Should it be left? Should it be centered? You choose what you feel is good visually and aesthetically. For my creative folks, you can get creative with the headline if you want. It's not an expectation at this point or for this assignment. That is something we'll explore next week. For the author, leave the font as it is, but feel free to adjust the size as you see fit. And also feel free to place it as you deem appropriate near the title. Now for the paragraph, the font stays the same, but you will need to adjust the size of the text, the leading, and the space after your paragraphs. And you will also need to make sure that you are controlling the widows and the hyphenation. Make sure that you see the directions for what that should look like. Ideally, your paragraph text size and leading will be consistent across all your pages. Therefore, I would start with the story that has the largest amount of text, adjust it to what it needs to be, and then use those settings for the other pages. Now, here's the final kicker for all of this. We talked about the element of format, and so that is going to be what's going to constrain you for this particular project. The headline, author, and paragraph must all stay on one page. You have got to find a way to make it all fit, and it needs to fit within inside the margins of this page. It can be done. It just means that some pages will have less room for the headline than others. So that's really about it. Have fun.